तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Those who are parents who joined this year, please proceed on to Mahadevanji's class at Chinmaya Mission, first floor, second level, sir. Om Parthaya Pradibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusantanami Bhagavad-Gita Bhavatveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadghatena Manasa Mashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Verse number 15 onwards we will see. 10, 15 onwards. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuh ajñānena vrutam jnānam tena muhyanti jantavah jnānena tu tata jnānam yesham nāshitamatmanah tesham adityavajñānam prakāshayati bhaktatparam तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्यपुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः विद्याविनयसम्पन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव स्वपाके च पण्डिताः समदर्शिनः. This particular chapter which we are dealing now, many of you, because of the long gap, would have forgotten, is chapter 5 of Bhagavad-Gita. Okay? Because when one month or more, when we don't see a person also we forget, who are you? So now suddenly you say, Swamiji, which topic you are now doing? So you are continuing on chapter 5. In this chapter, just to recap, the question was raised by Arjuna. You have talked about performing karma, and at the same time you glorified renunciation. I am confused. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha shamsasi yachreya etayoregam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Please tell me certainly which is to be followed. And typical of Krishna, he will not give straight answers. Sannyasa karma yogascha nishriyasa karau ubau. Both are equally capable of giving the highest. Tayostu karma sannyasa karma yoga vishishyate. Then the performance of action, then the renunciation of action, performance is greater. This is specifically to Arjuna. And all of us fall into that category only. We are in the world of action. We are at the present moment not ready to let go because of our needs, our requirements, our demands of life today, and so many other factors, and our own vasanas and desires that continuously prompt us to engage. For we have the great insatiable appetite for the world, to enjoy, to experience, to indulge. Therefore, it is appropriate to say that for most of us, the teaching here, Gita, is that before jumping into this world of renunciation, complete your duties. Do your best. Also, it is interesting to point out here that if a person really wants to renounce, he won't ask people. It's like if you are really tired and sleep, will you ask the permission from the world? Or what is your opinion? Should I sleep? What do you think? So if a person really has understood the illusoriness of the world, impermanence of everything, pitilessness of the experiences, then he would say, why should I even ask anybody? The very fact that Arjuna asked this question shows that he is not certain. That means his desires are still there. Still he has appetite for the world. Still he wants to prove himself. Still he wants to kill those fellows. Still he wants to establish his own kingdom. So therefore Arjuna is to be taught, yes, Arjuna, engage in the world. Please understand, to prepare oneself to become for a higher pursuit of life, what one should do is to reduce his or her engagement in the mind. More than physical engagement with the world, which we cannot avoid at all, meet circumstances of everyday life. But how much the mind is occupied with this world. And most of our occupations in this world, mental occupation, is in terms of things we like and things we don't like. We run away from things we don't like and constantly thinking of ways and means to run away from, and ways and means to acquire things which we like. This is called raga, dvesha. Raga, desire, likes, and dvesha, dislike, hatred. So our mind is occupied with this raga, dvesha. And therefore, to prepare oneself to let go of the world is to prepare one's mind to let go of this. Nyeyasya nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Bandhat sukham pramuchyate. From bondages he easily gets out. How? When he prepares his mind not to get caught up in this world of likes and dislikes. And such a person is what is called, who is called sannyasi. A man of renunciation is not the person who has renounced the world or name and position and money and other things. More importantly, how he does not keep in his mind strong likes and dislikes, which includes that people may say things which are probably ridiculing that person or praising. Some people may be very encouraging and praising to the hilt. Others may probably put him down to the drain. In both the situations, he remains unscathed. And such a person, it's not that he is a mute, stone-like existence. He recognizes, he is sensitive, he is aware that people, some of them praise, some of them insult, some of them honor, some of them dishonor, some respect, some do not. But whether the world accepts it or not, whether the world recognizes it or not, my nature is untouched by any of these things. Remaining in that state of neutrality is the nature of a sannyasin. So he indicates to Arjuna, even though you have to work in this world, work in such a way you reach to this point. Sankhya yogo pratak balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekam apyasti samyik ubayor vindate palam. It is not that what I have suggested to you in this situation to work in this world is against the final goal of renunciation. For the Upanishads declare very clearly, tyage neke amrutatvam anashuhu. Only by that renunciation alone one can gain that immortal state of complete freedom. So without compromising that, Krishna here says the path of action which I have suggested to you now is not different from the path of renunciation, really speaking. Sankhya yoga pratak iti balaha pravadanti. Only men who have a lesser understanding will say that these are all two paths which are opposed to each other or going in two different directions. One is to act, one is to renounce. They are not two different, opposite, contradictory paths. They are complementary to each other. For when the mind is impure, agitated, disturbed by desires, how can it renounce or how can it remain in renunciation? The mind cannot keep quiet. So the path of action is essentially meant for preparing for purity or preparing for letting go of preoccupation through likes and dislikes. In other words, getting prepared for knowledge. Therefore, ekamapi, even in one, astitaha samyak, very well established, ubayoho palam vindate, it gains the result of both. And therefore he says, yet sankhe prapyate sthanam tat yogeira bigamyate. Whatever be the final result the man of renunciation will come to engage or enjoy is what is going to be final result of path of action as well. Ekam sankyam cha yogam cha. In fact, they are one and the same. It is like whether you want to go by the car or by your own two-wheeler or a motorcycle. One may go very fast and reach this destination, other may go a little slow because of its own inability to go faster. But final result or destiny is the same. Destination is the same. One may go slow because it has lesser ability, and another go may fast because it has greater capabilities. So therefore, ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yap pashyati sapashyati. He who sees this properly, he sees this. But hastily, do not just give up the world and walk away. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum ayogataha. A person who has not purified the mind or has not gained it's not established himself in the correct knowledge, such a person hastily renouncing the world will cause him great sorrow only. See, external renunciation is very simple. Anybody can do it. All that you need is this cloth. Either shave your head completely or put some Rudrakshamala. Change your name. Finished. See, that is not what is talked about here. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogata. A person who has not done the yoga of renunciation or purity of mind. That's why he says, yoga yukto munir brahma achirena adhigacchati. He, the one who has thus practiced properly the action in this world with purity of motive, with no personal gains for himself or herself, such an individual over a period of time gains the ability to work with no excitement, with no anxiety, with no disappointment, with no attachment. And that is the opportunity in organizations like this give. Work for the community. Don't ask for to whom are you working for. Is it not? Any service organization is meant for making people come together and work for a particular goal, irrespective of the fact that to whom you are going to serve. It is not you are looking at whom am I going to serve and then serve. No, whoever he be, whoever that person be, let my service be rendered. Whereas that is not the case when you are in a professional work. And who is the customer, whether that fellow paid or not, whether that fellow has appreciation of what I am doing or not. And all those factors come into picture because your motive is to gain maximum from what you do. But here not the gain maximum from what you do, how much lose what of maximum from what you do. Lose in the sense that how much of my ego, the pride, the arrogance, the anger, the lust, the passion, the greed, the need and demand for respect, honor, all these egoistic demands is what is to be let gone in the act of service. So therefore, if a person is not ready for that, it is very difficult for a person to live a renounced life. So therefore, yoga yuktaha munihi brahma nachirena adhigacchati. He obtains the highest quickly. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijidatma jitendriyaha sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. Ultimately, the purpose of these teachings is to reach that state of mind where one sees oneself in all. It is the Godhood. Just like a creator, God, let us say, is one who finds himself in all. That is what is called creation is about. The creator cannot distinguish himself from the creation. He feels himself in that creation. In the same way, a person who wants to reach that state of total oneness is one sarvabhutatma bhutatma. My own self is operating through so many different beings. That state of oneness and unity, unless reached, there is no question of real freedom and joy. Interestingly, yesterday I was there in an interfaith meeting, and the question was raised finally, what is the role of religious leaders in bringing about peace in this world? So there was a Christian representative there, an Islamic representation, and myself and another Sikh representative there. So my point of view was that the religions are many and they are unique in the sense that they have a certain approach to the God, the faith and rituals and prayers and procedures, as well as their understanding about God and its the manifestations. They are so unique to each other. And therefore, there can never be a universal religion forever. It is like saying that all malls will sell only one brand of soap. Will you buy it? You may buy it, but you don't like it. Now, each one of us demand different kinds of flavors and shapes and color, whatever. And so is with religion. Various religions get developed over a period of time from various angles and cultures. So what the religious leaders have to do is to bring a spiritual aspect of the religious teachings in the sense that each of you, irrespective of what religion you belong to, must work for your own peace, which will extend to others as well. Irrespective of others, whoever they be, you do not force your religious concepts to another. Everyone has got the choice to do whatever they want to do. But as far as the peace is concerned, togetherness, brotherhood, that you extend and work on your own personal growth of leading yourself to peace. Then, if individuals are interested in peace, where can there be violence and war, etc.? So, but differences of opinion is there even in that also. No. What God wants only we should do. Now that is where the problem is. Because you do not know what God wants. And everybody interprets the way they want. I interpret it in one way, you interpret it in one way, and who is right? So instead of what God wants, what actually you want, that you work on. And you will find that when you work on your pace, you will have no problem with others. And don't insist that this is what God wants and that's what you should do. Hey, who are you to say that? So that's where the problem really lies. My interpretation of what God wants you to do versus your interpretation of what your God wants to do. And God thinks they are sitting above there, my God. I didn't want this to happen here in my creation. Anyway, so Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma is a very important statement. Unless we recognize that my own self, which is there as a peaceful being, is the self of all. Such a person working with that attitude, Kurvanapi, even when he engages in this world, Nalipyate, is unaffected. He remains immaculate, pure, because he is not affected by what is the outcome of his action, because his whole intention is to recognize that oneness. I am doing not for anybody else, I am doing it for myself, really speaking, for my own growth. The world is a field of opportunity in which I grow. If that is the way we engage in this world, then there cannot be any violence and any conflict here. But if we forget that, and then therefore always there is a need and demand for recognition, respect, and if somebody doesn't give, you throw away. If somebody gives, then you take it too seriously about what others say. And in the process, we always end in agitation, disturbance. When somebody doesn't recognize, we get those disturbed. Because that's what we demand. So therefore, an individual who thus works with the attitude of unity, he recognizes that I am not doing anything. It is that very being, that very self, that very immaculate presence in me is engaging in this world through me. Naiva kinchit karomidi yukto manyeda tattvavit pashyan shrunman sprashan jigran ashnan gachan swapan swasan pralaban visrajan jigran ashnan gachan unmishan nimishan Krishnan Raman Govindan. While doing all actions, I am not doing anything. Indriyan indriyarteshu vartante iti dharayan. Thus recognizing that Prakriti, the world of matter, is being engaged by this world of matter. This world of matter, body, mind, intellect, is interacting with this world of objects and emotion and thoughts. And I recognize in this very relationship between the matter which I am with the matter which is of the world, there is an illusory ego called perceiver, feeler and thinker. And if I recognize it's only an illusion, I am unaffected. If I do not recognize it as an illusion and this is considered as me, then there is vasana. Whether it's positive or negative. When people recognize and praise, then the vasana builds up to become strong. I want to repeat that again and again because that's what people recognize me as. It happens everywhere. So when illusion of this contraction is understood, yes, I am that self through this physical body, mind, etc., it is operating. Thus, an individual who is able to keep this higher vision, Brahmani adaya karmani sangam tektva karodiyaha lipyate nasapapena patmapatram iva ambasa. Just like a lotus flower sitting on water is unaffected by the water in which it is floating, in the same way, an individual, even though working in this world, is untouched by the world. Meaning that not that he will not engage in this world, but he will not allow the world to engage him in his mind. He is unaffected by the purities or impurities, vicissitudes of life. Why so? Because such a person, kayena manasa buddhya kevalair indriye yogina karma kurvanti sangam tektva atma shuddhaye. They engage in this world for their own purity of mind while engaging in body, mind, speech, sense organs, in all various ways of engagement in the world. always the end result they look at it. Is my mind calm and peaceful and pure and clean? At the end of the day, one should ask this question. Throughout the interactions with the world outside, at the end of the day, bottom line is, am I peaceful at the end of it? If I am not the world is responsible. I did something wrong. I did not do the right thing. Or my attitude was wrong. People say whatever they want to say. You cannot stop. And world of circumstances cannot be determined by you. It happens, it happens. Now, how am I looking at it? At the end of the day, therefore, my question is, am I ending the day in peace, in joy, in happiness for myself? Or it is a demanding world and then disappointed I am because of my own expectations have not been met. Yukta karma phalam tektva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena bhale sakto nibadhyate bhale saktaha nibadhyate. Yukta hai ayukta hai. Yukta hai, man of integrity, knowledge. Such a person at the end of the day, karma phalam tektva, having given up his result of action, shantimapnoti naishtikim shantim. Supreme peace he attains. Ayuktaha kamakarena, due to the very fact that he is working behind, going behind the desire, pale saktaha, attached to his results, nibadhyate, he is ever bound. Therefore Krishna advises, sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukamvashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. In this very physical body where you and I live, which is having 9 gates, 9-gated body it is. In this body, a man of knowledge remains peaceful. Others get agitated. Body is not different from a saint and a sinner. It is the same body, similar body that is given to all of us. But one who remains unattached to his actions gains the peace in this very body. The other one, due to his own misunderstanding and impurities, the same individual who has same physical body, similar physical body person is agitated, disturbed. Just look at your own biography. If at all you have learned through these lectures and other studies of your own, ask this question in 10 years back, 10 years before, how you would have met the situation which you presently could meet peacefully. Somebody said something which did not happen the way you want. How much agitated you would have been without the knowledge versus how you are able to face the same situation with a greater maturity. In other words, let us not talk about how much maturity I have got right now. Let us say, you when you were the teenager, how you behaved towards your parents and how you are meeting your teenager facing you. This is how I also behaved with my parents. This fellow is the exact replica of me. And how they would have felt at that time is what you are feeling right now. Is it not true? If you have not even realized that, then something is seriously wrong with you. So, your own children, how they are behaving is the way you were behaving at that time, and how much maturity you had to behave at that time and how much maturity you have now to face it. And you realize that the same body in which you were 10 years or 15, 20 years back is the same body with which you are now, but what difference it has created in your understanding. In the same way, an individual who has recognized the illusoriness of these worldly charms and other things, how much peacefully he exists in this physical body in which others are also similar body. How much peacefully he exists. Navadvare pure dehi naiva kuruvan nakarayan. And Krishna very clearly says, therefore, the responsibility of making yourself mature and peaceful is with you. I can help you in understanding it. I don't decide it. Na adatte kasyachit papam, na cha eva sukrutam vibhuhu, ajnane navrutam jnanam, thena mukhyanti jantava. Neither good virtues or good results can the Lord give to you, nor would He take anything that is offered to you by sinful actions of yours. Na adasya kachchit papam. Na cha eva sukrutam vibhu. Papa and punya is not decided by God in any way, or anybody other than you. Ajnani navritam, because of your own imperfect thinking, ajnanam, ignorance, avritam jnanam, your own wisdom is covered. Your own understanding is overpowered by your own personal habits and vasanas and all other agitations, negativities that you have. Tena, due to that, jantavaha mukhyanti, the living beings are deluded. Nadatyekasya chit pavam, nakartrutvam, nakarmani, lokasya srijati prabhu, nakarmapala samyogam, svabhavastu pravartate. The actions that you have to undertake in your life, the results that you have to face, none of this is created by God. You decided to act the way you want, and you have to face those things. Don't say that it is God has made you do these things. Swamiji, marriages are made in heaven. Don't give that kind of excuse for this. You made the mistake, and what can anybody do? Don't we blame your parents also. You only selected this one for me. Well, they will say that is your prarabdha. What can I do? Na karma phala samyogam svabhavastu pravarte. Everything is. So, when the misunderstanding it goes away through correct understanding, jnanena tu tad ajnanam esham nashitam atmanah. When a person puts effort to overcome his own ignorance through right knowledge, tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. That very knowledge will illumine the highest nature of oneself very clearly. No saint is an accident. I accidentally became a saint. There is a consistent effort, untiring effort. Just like nobody becomes overnight a medical doctor or a professional overnight. Suddenly he became a doctor. Consistent effort. That's what you tell your children also, isn't it? Put effort. Yes, it is a long journey, but keep working on it. Nothing comes free. Anything comes free, next day it won't be there. Please understand. So when you work consistently and you reach a point, you recognize its value. When it comes to you suddenly, you don't recognize its value. So when an individual consistently worked and gained that real maturity, such individual, jnanam adityavat prakashayat. That understanding, the state of freedom, it shines like a sun, which is so bright and clear. Adityavat. So the purpose of knowledge is the enlightenment where one does not have any more the darkness of ignorance. Clarity comes. In any situation, one should seek, one clearly sees this is the path to go. At the present moment, when we are not having the right knowledge, we are always in confusion. About everything. This is to be done, that is to be done. Oh, this is not done. Oh, that is not done. I don't know what to do. It's all because clarity is lacking. The highest clarity comes when one realizes nothing in this world worth crying. It is that understanding, everything that I have today came sometime. And tomorrow it may not be there. So why cry for it? I got it on the way and leave it on the way. So what? I didn't come with things in my hand. So nothing that I have in my hand is mine, really speaking. Is it not? What did you come with you? I brought with you when you were coming here. Not into the ashram, of course. But I'm saying into the world. You had anything in your hand? The best example is Karna himself. Even though he was born with those Kavacha Kundala, etc., even that he was ready to renounce. We don't have that also. What did you have with your hand? And why are you so holding on to it? They just come on the way I picked up. So let it be. So here, Tesham Adityavat Jnanam Prakashayati Bharata. So we saw in the last session how an individual over a period of time gaining the maturity or focus about the highest goal of life, tad buddhayas tadatmanaha tannishta tat parayanaha gacchantya punaravrityam jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Through the knowledge having destroyed all the impurities, apunaravrityam gacchanti, they reach the state of no return. The state of no return is a very interesting subject matter, really speaking. Meaning, there is no question of coming back to suffer again. That's what it means. Not necessarily you will not be born again. Yet that will be literal translation. Apunaravritti means not coming back again. Meaning not coming back to the state of misery again. Apunaravrittim na gachanti. Who tad buddhayaha tad atmanaha, who has their focus on the highest and their intellect is convinced about that. Tannishtaha, ever consistently working towards that. Tat parayanaha, that has the supreme goal. Now, another interesting topic Bhagavan Krishna here opens up. When Arjuna, all the time when he was listening to this, he thought that these are all very great hypotheses. Possibilities, but is it practical? Not all possibilities are practical. Right? You may have a high, beautiful imagination of something. That's why somebody said successful people are those, are great dreamers, but they wake up. You just don't keep dreaming, but you wake up and start working on it. Dreaming is good, provided you know that it is a dream. So here, Arjuna would have thought all this while what Krishna has been saying is, somewhere there. Like some people say, Swamiji, your talk is this OHP. Oh, what is OHP? Overhead projection. It went all over my head. So, Arjuna also felt it's a lot of OHP. Is it practical? How do we know that a person has gained this kind of a highest state of oneness and vision? Krishna here says, a man of such highest vision, a person of this unity in his understanding is one whomever he meets, he doesn't see differences. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Astini Shunicha Eva Swapakecha Panditaha Samadarshina. Men of knowledge are those who have vision of oneness. They, in spite of seeing differences apparently externally there, but they don't give that too much of importance. Whether it's a man of learning and humility, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, Gavi or a cow, Hastini, whether it's an elephant, meaning of different kinds of things. Shunichaiva, even a dog, or even a dog eater, the one who's the lowest category, who lives with, eating that is so low in nature. Even in that person, Panditaha Samadarshina, men of wisdom see that oneness. Now that is why Shankaracharya also, when he slipped away from that, Lord Shiva himself comes to teach him that way. So we find that men of learning do not take the differences too seriously. Man or woman, educated or uneducated, irrespective of the caste, color and creed, does not matter. So long as that person has purity, he is eligible to learn. And everybody should be treated equally. Now, one may wonder, this is against the culture. And you see so much of tragedy happening in the form of such a superstitious beliefs. A high caste person cannot sit with the low. It is not only in India, I am telling you, everywhere, every part of the world. In this country also, black and white going to the same church is really unheard of, even today. Very rarely we find that. So whether it is due to the skin color, or the status of the person, or based upon the caste system, the differences are always there. But men of knowledge are those who do not care about that. And that is why we find such people are very revolutionary in their own times. They brought a total different mindset to the people. Some people are not allowed to the temple, some people are allowed. Why? God is not meant for only certain people. When Gurudev also, when he started talking about it, all the pandits were so upset. Why are you talking Gita to the common man? To whom else? To already educated, you don't need to give education. To those people who have no opportunity to learn, to them only the knowledge should be given. Is it not? Give donation to the rich. What for what? The donation should be, and money should be shared to the poor only. Similarly, the knowledge should be given to the common man, one who has already understood what is the point. And if already you have understood the real import of the knowledge, then, and you are not sharing with others, only shows you never understood this. And the liberation is not meant for only few. If you think like that, then there's something wrong in your understanding of the scriptures. So therefore, a man of knowledge is one who has a samadarshitvam, the state of unity in vision. That is why people like Swami Vivekananda, our own Gurudev Swami Chinmaya, they took so much effort and spent endless hours to reach the commonest person, to teach him or her what is that which you need to understand about life. So, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, Gavi Hastini, whether it's a cow or the elephant or a dog or a person who is eating basic, even impure food, Brahmana, even that, Sunichaiva Swapaka. Swapaka means one who cooks the meat of a dog and eats. Nowadays you will say that is a very relishing one, Swami. Very rare to get. It is interesting, when we were growing up, the ragi or what you call jawar and those things, only the workers used to eat. Right? We eat polished white rice. Most dangerous thing to eat. Now the reverse. And poor those fellows who are eating, now it is not available to them. All the rich are eating them. Take the word. So all the fatty food is cheap. All the organic, so price is high. Why? Because now they realize that is where the whole real essence is. So earlier we thought that, these kind of polished, that is what is most, it's more of a status symbol than actual nutrition value. Now when you realize this, and earlier time the workers were working and you were going in a car and then what? And now you, what are you trying to do? Why did you do before itself? They were doing and they were strong and we were eating very fat. Now you do the same thing. So the mindset has to change. Sweat. Gurudev used to say sweat. That is where Narayana is. In your sweat, Narayana smiles. Meaning, you don't just, waste your time in just merely theorizing things. Get down to the grassroots. Work. Be one with the people who are of the commonest. So, in treating the people, find that single common factor which connects all of them. And in that recognition of the common factor, you will find that you have no problem with anybody. It's a man or a woman, which caste and that caste, doesn't matter. But when we hold on to this so-called superstitious idea is of this, only Brahmana I will talk to, I will invite only such people, I will only call only, this kind of a such a mindset. Even here in this country, also, having given up your country there, and here also Brahmanal Sangam. Why? Why you want to create this difference again? Reddy Garu owns one separate group and then another. Setti Garu another group. Why are you still holding on to this kind of difference? What purpose? You may say that it gives you an identity recognition. Do you need that really? Then that means you are still segregating yourself from others. You can never come out of that bondage. You still have the hatred and differences in the mind. So our Gurudev had said that all these such differences, this is created by mere, the Pandit class. You would call it the threaded variety. Unnecessarily creating such differences, and in the process, so much of violence and what an amount of disturbance and agitation that is created in the society. Every day we see it, everywhere. So the Krishna's vision is that a man of true knowledge is one who does not see this difference. And it is not externally, superficially removing the differences where everybody wears the same dress. It's not like that. What is the core factor in all of them? Recognize that as God. The essence that is there in which connects everybody together, that factor is God. If you recognize that life within you, which makes you who you are, irrespective of how you appear to be, that factor, whether it is human or animal or bird or plants and anything, that factor is what is called God. Don't keep him only in the churches and the temple and then worship him. Find him in everyone. Otherwise you hurt the whole world and go to pray in the temple. Right? That disconnect, you see that. So that recognition of the fact that that very one who is worshipped in a temple or a church or the mark or synagogue or Buddhist figure or whatever it is the one who is the very life factor within each one of us, which makes you eat and walk and talk and think, each one of us, or they make the birds fly, or the lion roar, or the leaves to flutter. If that one life factor which is present in all of us is that God, then how can you then ignore him? As you worship in the temple and you come out, you ignore him in the street. Same one who appears to be in a different form. So, a real knowledge is where, whether it is in the worship place or in the marketplace, he sees the oneness. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Swapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Men of vision, those who do not ignore the presence of God in whatever form he comes. Whether he comes in the form of a dog or a cat or a buffalo or a bird or in the form of a sadhu or a sinner. And here in the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna very clearly says, such an individual who has thus gained a mastery over his mind is alone truly happy in this world. We read that verse, repeat after me. Ihaivatayirjita sargo yesham samye stitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te stitaha ihaivatayirjita sargah yesham samye stitam manah nirdosham hi samam brahma Tasmat Brahmani te stitaha. Yesham manaha samye stitam. Yesham, of those people. Manaha, the mind. Samye, samatve. Stitam, tishtitam. Whose mind is established in that oneness. Tesham iha eva jitah, taihi iha eva sargaha jitah. They have conquered the world. Those whose minds are in that sameness are those who have actually conquered this world. Why? Brahma nirdosham. The Brahman, the reality is nirdosham, dosha rahitam. Irrespective of whether it's a sinner's body or a saint's body. That presence is absolutely pure. The self, the reality, the consciousness within us is most pure. It cannot be polluted at all. That being so, nirdosham hi samam brahma, tasmat brahmani te sthidaha. Therefore, they always remain aware of the presence of the purest of the pure. It is like beautifully said in the Upanishads. Just like a pregnant lady, a lady who is conceived, how she is always aware. I have not gone through, so I don't know. Those who have gone through would know it. Anything she does, she is aware of how much it will affect the child while walking, while eating. And Gurudev used to give a beautiful example. Even when the child is born, and even let us say that this mother is a worker, she is working in a construction place. She would take the child, and nearest to tree she will put a jula. And the child will be there, putting that cloth, they hang it from the branch of the tree and put them there. And she would be working and taking the building material or whatever. But even a little moment that fellow moves, if she will immediately stop the whole thing and run. Because that fellow may be hungry, wants milk. Whoa. Nowadays you have electric ones. The child moves, then the electric one moves there. So the mother runs there, sings some jula song or whatever, and then the fellow goes to sleep again. So the one part of the mind is always aware of that. Another example he used to give is, you might have seen, in places like Rajasthan, nowadays I do not know, but they have water carrying on the head. The big part, the water. And then there's another part, another part, 4 or 5. So they will sing in the water. But the balance will not go. You try. Even one you can't carry. Right? Won't head stand in the head at all. Head itself doesn't stand. What is the question of top of the head? They may sing and dance and talk, whatever, but that one they will never, it will remain. So that constant attention upon that, or a well-versed, well-trained singer, aware of the thampura behind, even though it is behind, that very, whatever name you call that, Shruti, aware of that Shruti and never move away from it. All singing is in tune with that. In the same way, one who has this recognition of the purest of the pure within oneself, even every thought is to be supervised. How that impurity of my thought will affect my attention on the self. Not that impurity of that will affect it anyway. It is always pure, it will not affect. But these impurities in my mind will make my mind deviate from the attention of that. Just like a person who might have seen in the roadside in India, put a rope there and then they start walking on the top of the rope. And then the people gather and then watch them. So one single rope on which they have to walk, they will have a small, a pole in their hand, and making sure that they don't slowly put one step another, one step another. So the balance, the attention, that this rope have to be thread all the way up there. So this concentration, that's why it is said, Esham samye sthitam manaha. Tesham, such people, nirdosham hi samam brahma, tasma brahmani te sthitaha. Brahmani te sthitaha tasma. Therefore, they stay ever be attentive about that presence. Imagine the discussion is all about which is better. Renunciation is better or action is better. That's the original question that is raised by Arjuna. Where Krishna have taken Arjuna to? What is sannyasa? I am going to tell you. And I will tell you why it is not that easy by just externally renouncing. It is not that. That's why it's called yoga of renunciation. The teaching about what really it means. It is not just an external giving up of things, it is an inner growth. So the constant attention one keeps about one's own nature, of the higher nature. Such a person, iha eva, in this very world itself, while living as whoever you are, taihi jitaha sargaha. By them, the world is conquered. And such an individual, irrespective of situation, whatever he is going through in his life, will not deviate from his real goal. That's what Gurudev always emphasized to us. Doesn't matter what work you do, doesn't matter what kind of activity you are engaging in, never lose the sight of the goal. Keep yourself aware of that is what I am focusing on. That is what I am focusing on. It is like a flight you are getting into. That irrespective of who or be the passenger, the pilot's purpose is only one thing. What is the purpose of the pilot? Wherever the flight is destined to go, that is where my focus is. It sets the whole journey towards that. Whether it's a politician or a sports person or known people, unknown people, whoever gets into the flight, the pilot is unaffected by that. Whoever it be, my purpose is what? Take the flight from one point to another point. So also, in our life, this journey of our life, irrespective of who is there, who is not there, who comes into my life, who doesn't come into my life, what happens in today, what happens tomorrow, the purpose is set. That is actually the role of religion as well. Instead of that, the role of religion is to convert people and threaten others, then you have lost your vision. Your personal effort to reach the destination is the primary purpose of religious life. And best emphasized in the spirituality. Its clarity comes in. While religious can be lost in the rituals, in prayers and rituals, most people get lost there. And at the end of the day, why did you do this? No, the priest told me to do so. Anyway, so when one recognizes nirdosham hi samam brahma, that one within me is the most pure, that sanctity of oneself is recognized, then every thought that passes through my mind, every act that I engage in should be supervised whether it will deviate me from my goal or it is encouraging, paving way towards my goal. This personal attention and supervision is necessary for each one of us to do. That is what is called spirituality. how much ever the religious belief that you may have, unless this personal growth is paid attention, all the other things are just temporary. It may do, it may not, may do, may not do it. Many people go for fasting and feasting without even purpose. Why you are fasting on Ekadashi? My mother did it, therefore I do it. I do not have a reason to do it. When you recognize that, how it helps you in moving further, then you, whether somebody tells you or not, you will do it. Not because somebody told you, not because the neighbor did it, not because the whole group doing it. So therefore, here continuing, one more verse we will see. Na prahrushyet priyam prapya na no tvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhira sammudaha brahmavid brahmani stitaha na prahrushyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhira sammudaha brahmavid brahmani stitaha. It is uniqueness of this knowledge is that a person who knows this clearly becomes that. Unlike other professional knowledge, if you know medicine, if a medical practitioner, MD you are, master of what? Master of what? Huh? Doctor of medicine. You have become master of medicine. What? You don't become a medicine. Thank God. You have become master of law. MLA. Supposed to be no? Master of law. I know. Anyway, so if you have studied law, you don't become a law. I mean, that happens nowadays, but anyway. But here, knowledge of Brahman is that, it's interesting. Brahmavit. Gurudev used to give Brahmavit. It's like blacksmith. Brahmavit means one, Brahmam Veti iti Brahmavit. One who knows Brahman, meaning one who has clearly understood what it is, he becomes that. Brahmavit Brahmanistitaha. He will remain thereafter as Brahman in Brahman alone. So the knowledge of a thing, it's always as an intellectual understanding, if it is disconnected from your life then. Many people intellectually understand it. Yesterday also, one of the faiths, I won't tell you which one, he said that the final person who has taught this knowledge has come and gone. Beyond that, nobody else can come. All others who remain today are only scholars. So therefore, we have to believe in one person, the last person who came and taught that knowledge, and there it is, there ended. Now, in this, and then therefore what we have is only scholars, and scholars should not be given the status of godhood. Understandable. Clearly it is said that a human cannot be God. That's what it basically means. Whether whatever the idea of that statement, I do not know. Now, in the Hindu perspective, and Vedantic perspective especially, a person who has gained the correct awareness and understanding of the highest truth fails to remain as human thereafter. Not for the sake of the world, in himself. He is no more would behave like a human. Human in the sense, he will have a human body all right, because after all, physical body will exist. But this human conditioning on the bondages is no more with him. That's why we call Jivan Mukta. So the concept of Jivan Mukti is so unique here. Meaning thereafter, even though Jivan api Mukta, even though living is liberated. So, but that concept is very hard for a non-believer to accept that. As a human being, you are a human being. How can you be not? Yes, from others' perspective, that a person will behave and act like a human only. But as far as he is concerned, he is no more of the condition with which he will live. The condition of being a human, conditioned by the perception and feeling and emotions, are no more. Meaning, he is free of all that factors that can bind him. That's why it is said, Brahmavit Brahmanistita. And what is the indicator of a person who has become free? Na prahrishtet priyam prapya. When desirable things come or likable things, liked things come, he does not lose his balance to become too excited. Na udvishet prapya cha apriyam. He is not become hateful and angry and upset about situations that comes to him which are undesirable. Sthira buddhi, steadiness of mind, asammudaha, undeluded is Brahmavit. So it is not for us to find out whether somebody else is like that. It is find out whether I am able to reach that point. A point where I am not excited and lose balance over things that I gain which I want, nor I ever create an anger and frustration and disappointment and rejection about situations in my life that are coming which I don't like. Though it is not that easy, but that is where the sadhana lies. That is where the knowledge actually evolves. It's not just reading a book, but how much I am applying to my life. And it's not a theory that is to be applied and by heart and remembered and rehearsed. It's not every day you go on rehearsing the same thing. It is not that. Observe how much I am affected by what I like and what I don't like. When I things like I comes, how much I lose my balance, or when things which I don't like, how much I lose my balance. And in this losing my own balance in situations in life means that I am still a human of conditions, of limitations, and determined and dictated by the world outside. And then I am not free. Who is a man of freedom? A person who is not dictated by the situations, right? You are a slave when somebody tells you what to do and then somebody tells you not to do. In the same way, the world decides what you should do and what you should not do. And I am still a slave to something. Na prahrishtet priyam prapya, na udvichet prapya cha apriyam, sthira buddhihi asammudaha, brahmavit brahmanistiraha. So Arjuna slowly realizes it is not a question of making choice. Okay, I would like to become sannyasi, I will become. No, it's a growth. It's an evolution. It's a slow, steady growth towards one's own higher nature. It cannot happen overnight, and nobody else can decide this. It's my own personal effort and tireless effort that can slowly, and this growth only can be enjoyed oneself. It's not like a flower growing beautifully overnight and then you enjoy the beauty of the flowers. Yes, but it is not like that a flower just blossoming overnight. It's such a slow growth, evolves into a state of greater freedom. We'll see more of it in the next session. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.